Welcome to Hammerspace Recording. My name is Troy Numberman. Today we're going to have a look at the Synergy Fryette Deliverance module. Alright, welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you very much for checking out another video. If you haven't done so yet, please like the channel, subscribe to the video. Even if you don't like those things, just do it anyway because it helps me out. Today, on the bench, or rather in the Syn20IR, we're going to take a look at the Synergy Deliverance module. This is the first module that I got for the Synergy system, probably around 2020, 2021, thereabouts. I actually bought the module with Syn 1, and I used that in the studio, and I used it live a little bit. I tried it maybe once or twice live. So reasonably familiar with how this module works, but even in saying that, probably more than some of the other modules I've demoed over the last month and a bit, you can really tweak this thing to do some cool things and do some different things. With something like the Soldano SLO module, where it's, you got gain, you've got EQ, and you've got output, and you can get a great tone with that and really great tones with that. Like with the Deliverance module, the way that all the knobs interact with each other, and in particular in the Syn20IR, it can be really tweaky. So it's a really fun module to play, and it's a really cool module to play. But I've sort of found with it, I end up just nerding out quite a bit, and I'm a little bit cautious of that when I'm doing these videos because they already end up pretty long. What I might do is I'm gonna reamp some guitar tracks as I always do. I'll make it a reasonably clean part, just a more rock sort of sound. We won't do anything too heavy. And we'll run that through the module. I'll try some knobs and switches, and then we'll come back and talk about the interaction of the gain controls and also how it works with the Syn20IR, and just have a chat about it that way. And I might just play a bit more live because I think with this module, there are so many ways you can run the bass up or the depth down or vice versa, or crank the preamp gain 1 a bit more and run the structure switch differently. It's pretty versatile like that. So yeah, let's have a listen through the reamp stuff, and we'll come back and have a chat about it. As always, we're just reamping some Gibson Les Paul with Bareknuckle cold sweats through my Undertone audio GB tracker, through the Syn20IR, through the Marshall Vintage 30 cabinet mic with a single SM57. Let's have a listen. Normally when I do these demos and I start off the reamp section, I flick through the reactance and I flick through the structure switches. And I sort of did that at the end of the reamp on this one. After playing with it for a little bit today and, you know, flicking through the structure and the reactance and those sort of things, I guess my preference is the structure in switch in the C mode. It's just a little darker and has a little bit more like girth in the bottom end. I actually really liked it in the B setting as well on this module, which I haven't liked that so much in some of the others, but I think it works pretty well with this amp. I've set this up so that of the two channels, the red channel is like the dirtier sound, and I've got the switch in the more setting, this one right here. I've set the green channel up in the less setting, so I have more of a like cleaner sound, dirtier sound, like a 2-channel sort of a thing. I know that's a feature that is specific to the Deliverance module and not to the head, because I think the head is just a straight up single channel amp. Let's just go to the green channel first, to the lower gain, or how I've got it set up in the lower gain setting, and we'll have a quick listen to it. In the reamp section, I mean, being that it's one riff played on a bridge pickup, it's probably not that indicative of what this module can do for clean. This is just how I've set it up so far. Which actually sounds reasonably nice, like that. What I might do for the just running some clean stuff is I'll put some effects on, because, you know, it's a bit sterile and bland to have a completely dry, bone dry clean sound. That feels reasonably nice. Like I've gigged this amp quite a bit in a Syn20, and I've used this in a, I guess in this setting, or maybe a little bit dirtier for some of the gigs that I do. You are kind of spoiled in the Syn20IR and the Syn20 that there is like a dedicated clean channel. So you don't necessarily need to set this up for your like clean sound, but I mean, that sounds pretty nice as it is. On the actual Fryette Deliverance amp, the gain 1 control has some writing on it that indicates that when it's all the way to like in the off position, I guess, it's crisp. And when it's all the way in the up position, fully clockwise, I suppose, it's thick. That's not on like written on the Deliverance module. So I'm assuming that it's still the same sort of thing. I guess like what was a little confusing about this module when I first started trying to dial it in was it made reference to that idea in the manual, but I wasn't certain which gain knob sort of did what. And, you know, obviously I can use my ears, probably should use my ears. I think what I thought it was supposed to act like was more of a tone control, like as in one way it's kind of like dark and one way it's kind of bright. But I don't think that's really how this works. And if we just I'll leave gain 2 where it is at sort of the like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock mark. I mean, that does sound thicker. And I suppose that's one way of describing it, like thick and crisp, but the amount of gain, like actual distortion that's added in and crunch is added in, is probably a lot more noticeable. So for my preference, like as much as I like running it clean, I probably like running it slightly crunchier. So probably gain 1 more up around like the 1 o'clock mark. Just get a little bit more crack on the sound. And then also just increasing the gain 2, which I believe the gain 2 is supposed to just be a general, like broad, gain stage. It's not like specifically targeted to be like the crispy, thick sort of a thing like the other one. I do like running this with the bright switch on, particularly with the Les Paul, just again to give that a little bit more crack. That sounds kind of cool to me. So again, like with these 2 tone gain controls, you can do quite a lot to shape the sound. Like if we crank, say, this guy up a bit more, yeah, it does like certainly thicken the tone up quite a bit. And this is one of those things where it can be a pretty interesting balancing act between where you set those gain controls and then maybe where you might want to set the other like tone shaping controls. So at the very least, just your bass, middle, treble controls. Maybe because it's cranked up a bit more, maybe I turn that down. The bass down a bit. Maybe if I want to make it sound thicker in the after here, maybe I just turn the gain 1 down a bit too. And crank the bass up a bit. I kind of like it just with gain 1 like reasonably high. It still feels really articulate and really clear. That feels pretty good for me. And like, you know, if I talk about general purpose rock and roll tones, if I want to play like a... You want to play your AC/DC songs, like that's probably going to suit you pretty well. Moving on to the red channel. It can get reasonably gainy, provided you turn the gain 1 up a reasonable amount. So I'll turn gain 2 down, and you'll kind of notice like still feels pretty dirty. Gain 2 down. We're turning gain 1 up. Yeah, it does sound pretty thick. That may be enough gain to get you through what you need to do in a gig or in a studio situation. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Let's add gain 2 on top of that. I think it starts to feel a bit too compressed with them both cranked up that much. I don't mind running them both maybe more around that sort of area. And to be honest, like, it's probably just got a bit too much bass in it at the moment, so I'll just knock that down. Yeah, that feels a lot more natural to me. I think that gain 1 being as maxed out as it was and the bass being turned up a little bit, it just feels a bit congested. But that feels kind of cool. Let's now just flick through the structure switches again and hear what they sound like. So we go to A, B, C. So you can hear the C setting, that like extra thickness that it adds in the bottom end. Like that feels really fun to play for me. And once again, if you get creative with how you use this, or if you're happy to sit there and tweak for a little bit, if that feels too dark, there's like a lot of different ways you can still brighten it up. Like I haven't touched the tone controls. I think in fact the treble is down a tiny bit. You could turn that up, or you could crank the reactance up, or you could turn the bass knob down, or you could turn the gain 1 setting down a little bit, or you could talk about the present and depth controls, which we haven't done at all yet. So within all of those, like, you can find balance in like a lot of different ways, which makes this module like really powerful, but also quite tweaky if, you know, it may not suit everybody to sit there and tweak that much. But let's just add in now the presence and depth control and just hear what that does. It's all the way off. Man, that presence control as a start, like that changes the tone drastically. Turn it off. Yeah, it changes the character of the mid-range quite a bit as well. So again, you could do a lot to sculpt tone with that. Let's just back it down to a bit more normal range, perhaps. Yeah, it's cool. It kind of adds clarity, but not like a really high-end clarity. Just kind of, yeah, it's like a mid-range sort of thing more than anything else. And then I'll turn that down and we'll just have a listen to the depth. Yeah, it certainly thickens it up quite a lot. Because we've got that extra thickening with the structure switch C, probably double banger, that's a bit too much. So maybe we change the structures back to A. Might feel a bit congested. I'll just flick between A and C with the depth cranked up and we can hear how that changes the sound. Yeah, it's like, maybe it's not a huge wholesale change, but it feels a little bit congested in C with the depth all the way up. So, I mean, maybe compensate for that by cranking the presence up. That's such a different sound to what we've otherwise dialed in today. Like, it's weird. Like, I think with those controls, when I use this module, I have to think of it as not being the presence and depth that I might have on a power amp, because it just doesn't feel the same. Like it kind of interacts. I don't really know how to say it. It feels like it just interacts with the amp a little bit differently. The presence doesn't give that like really high end kind of, I don't know, like almost airy top end that you get out of like a more traditional presence knob in a power amp section. And the depth doesn't add to me like mega bottom end like thickness, but it like subby thickness. But what it does add is like just by girth. So yeah, we're in the A structure setting with that. One of the cool things about this module is that you can actually separate the presence and depth control per channel, per the green channel or the red channel. So what I've done in this specific situation is I've essentially doubled or copied the settings on the gain from the green channel and the red channel. Obviously the EQ is going to be shared, but I've only activated the red channel I've only activated the presence and the depth on the red channel. And also what's cool is the structure switch on the Syn20IR is like channel dependent as well. So it will automatically change between like structure A when I'm on the red channel and structure C when I'm on the green channel. So it's actually kind of a cool way we can just flick back and forward, hear what that presence and depth is doing and how it interacts with the structure switch. So this is the red channel with the presence and depths on. Presence and depths off and depth off in the green channel and structure C. So that is the Fryette Deliverance module for Synergy. This is, again, my module that I bought about 4 years ago, and I do have quite a lot of experience with it. It is a module that is slightly more complicated in some ways than the other modules that I've demoed, because it is so tweakable and everything is so interactive with everything else on it. So I think it definitely suits the right type of player. And you know, it's sort of it's one of those modules that can be very, very versatile if you have the time to work out how everything interacts with each other. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for checking out another video. Please like the channel and subscribe to the video and all those sort of things, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.